Listen, this is 1 star, and I give this yarn 1 star. Hello and welcome to the Fade to Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel, and today is another episode of Will It All Me, which is a series on my channel where we test out different types of yarn and see if they work for amigurumi. For today's video, we are going to be testing out 4 different types of sparkly yarn. I asked on my community tab if you guys would be interested in seeing me test out sparkle yarn or glitter yarn, whatever you want to call this, and the majority of you said yes. By the way, make sure you are keeping an eye on my community tab because I like to put polls up there and ask you guys questions to make sure that I'm filming the things that you want to see. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. So the absolute perfect pattern, in my opinion, to be testing out sparkly yarn is this cute little star. Now, this one was inspired by a pattern that I will put on the screen and link in the description. But I did modify it quite a bit. I wanted to make it a small, quick little make because I'm making a lot of these for my market, which as of filming this video, I have my market coming up this weekend and I want to make a lot of cute little stars to sell at my booth. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at this sparkly yarn. Okay, here are all 4 of the different yarns that we're going to be trying out today. And I know that the very first yarn that I tried for this channel was the Juicy Couture Luxe Fleur Sparkle, which was also a sparkly yarn. And if you want to see my full review on that one, you can go back again to that very first video that I ever filmed. But don't judge me too much. I feel like I've gotten a lot better at filming in the past 6 months. But I may kind of be referencing that yarn a little bit because it was a sparkly yarn that I did end up really liking. But we are going to be testing out these 4 today. Starting with this one, which is the Bernat Baby Sparkle. And I think probably most of us have tried out Bernat blanket yarn before, but I personally have never tried this sparkle variety. With this yarn, the glitter almost sticks up. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to pick that up on camera, but it does kind of like stick up off of the yarn thread, but when I'm pulling at it, it doesn't seem to be coming off. So we will see if this ends up shedding everywhere because that's going to be a huge test for me. Because listen, I am actually a certified glitter hater. You can ask my kids anytime they want to do a craft that involves glitter. I'm like, no, because glitter just has this tendency to get everywhere. You can never get rid of it. And so if any of these yarns do in fact shed their glitter sparkles everywhere, I am going to be very disappointed, but we will see. Okay, then we have Caron Simply Soft Party, which I kind of had an existential crisis because I did not realize until I got this yarn home that I actually already have this yarn on my shelf. I've had that yarn so long that I didn't even realize that it was Caron Simply Soft. So I was like, this is not going to be my first impression of this yarn. Should I pick something else? And I was like, no, you know what? I bought this yarn. Probably other people are interested to see how it works up. So we're going with this one. This is essentially a silver yarn or kind of gray yarn, but the threads in it are multicolor, which I think is really interesting. I like that. Now we have good old Red Heart. Now I had a lot of I had a lot of Red Heart haters in my comment section on my tier ranking video. And listen, I know that Red Heart is not the best quality. I know a lot of times it's scratchy, but I just think there's something about a Super Saver yarn that is so nostalgic, but also it's just accessible. It's affordable. It's there for you, okay? If you walk inside of your local Joann, it's going to be there. So I can't hate on it too much, even though I do know that it's scratchy. But in fact, feeling this yarn in the skein compared to the Simply Soft, they feel very, very similar actually. Now this one is also a silver yarn, but those threads are also silver. So this one is a little bit of a wild card, but I really wanted to try another velvet yarn. So the Juicy Couture yarn was also a velvet yarn, but I wanted to try another one. So I just searched on Amazon and this is the one that came up. As you can see, it is a yellow yarn with the sparkles in it. And again, the sparkles do kind of stick up a little bit, which I feel like with the Juicy Couture yarn, I may get the rest of my skein and kind of compare it here in a minute. But I feel like with that one, the threads were more woven in. The sparkly metallic threads were a little bit more woven in, whereas these ones like stick up a little bit. And it's quite sparkly as well. So, okay, here is how the Luxe Fleur Sparkle looks. It's actually very similar, if you can see, to this one. I, for some reason, thought that these were a little bit more in line. And I guess they are. They don't stick up quite as much, but they do stick up a little bit. But they are, again, silver sparkles, kind of similar to this one. So I had really high hopes for this yarn. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on the crocheting. I am going to start with the Bernat baby blanket. Okay, that is our first one done for the day in the Bernat sparkle yarn. And I am so impressed with this yarn, you guys. But first of all, I feel like I didn't really explain Bernat yarn, but I kind of assume that you know what Bernat blanket feels like. But in case you don't, Bernat blanket is a very thick chenille yarn. It is definitely on the structured side. It is a little bit more stiff than something like a velvet yarn. It has definitely a lot of structure to it. I feel like a lot of people love using it for their amigurumi because of that amazing structure and because it's so thick that you get such a big plushie with the same amount of stitches. Like, let's do a comparison here. I made this one with Premier Retro Velvet, and you can see that this one is quite a bit bigger. Although I think I realized as I'm comparing these that I accidentally added an extra row to each one of the like little spikes of the star. Oops. I'll probably correct that for the other ones. Not me messing up my own modifications for this pattern. Anyways, so you can see that when you work something in Bernat, it's going to be quite a bit bigger. My gripe with Bernat in general is that it is so thick and it is so stiff that sometimes it can almost hurt my hands to get around. And this was really no exception. This feels exactly like Bernat, with the exception of having these sparkles. And I want to get a close-up so you can see. Can you see how these sparkles like stick up a little bit? You can feel the sparkles when you touch them lightly like this, but it is not rough at all. It's still very, very soft, which I was quite impressed by. Now, the thing that I am most impressed by today with this sparkle yarn is that this yarn did not, first of all, it didn't break on me. I have had Bernat blanket break on me so many times when I'm trying to like tighten. So I don't do a magic ring. I actually just chain 6 into the second chain. I do that method, but I still kind of pull the tail a little bit tight. And I've had Bernat break on me so many times doing that. This did not break, but also it didn't shed and it didn't fall apart. As you can see, I did the test where I ran it through several stitches and it did not shed. I mean, I'm looking at my desk right now. I see one speck. And I think there's maybe one little speck of the actual glitter that came off, and that is it. This does not shed. It doesn't shed while you're crocheting. It doesn't shed now that it's like a completed plushie. And I don't know if I mentioned this already, but you can kind of see that these sparkles are kind of a gold, almost like iridescent. They're very beautiful. I'm very impressed. I'm happy that we started this video out on a high note. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and move on to our Caron Simply Soft, which, like I said, is not going to be my first impression of this yarn, but I'm still going to walk you through all the pros and cons and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, here's our second one done. These giant eyes look a little bit silly, but I already had my 12mm eyes out and I didn't want to dig through my safety eyes to find a different size because I really need to organize my safety eyes right now. They're kind of a mess, but anyways, he's still pretty cute. So that is the second one done. I just feel like the camera does not do this yarn justice. It helps a little bit. I know it's a little blurry, but that kind of shows the sparkles a little bit more, like just how sparkly it is. Maybe I need to do the YouTuber thing and put my hand in front. That helps a little bit. So you can see that the yarn is silver and then the sparkly part is like a rainbow, different shades. It is a Caron Simply Soft, so it does have that same tendency to want to split a little bit, but not as bad as I thought it would be. I honestly remember this thread, the metallic thread, coming apart a lot more. I think I did show on camera that sometimes when you cut it, it will kind of fall apart and that metal part will like kind of unravel. It's not a huge deal. You can kind of just like cut that part off or like weave it back in if you want to. But that honestly only happened one time for me. And so that's not too bad since these are like separate points. So you're having to have a lot of ends that you do just kind of like shove into your work. But honestly, it's not too bad to work with at all. But it's not very soft. I will say for a yarn called Simply Soft, this version is really not soft. The normal Simply Soft is a pretty soft yarn. This one has that scratchiness of the metallic, where with this one, you don't even really feel, or you do, but it almost just feels kind of like fuzzy. It's not scratchy at all. But with this one, it is a lot more scratchy and you do kind of feel it on your hand, like as you were crochet. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next yarn. I feel like I am just like not with it today. My kids are gone. They're with their grandparents this week. And you would think that that would mean that I am like more focused, but I'm actually like all over the place. I think it's because I'm thinking of like all the things I want to do, like all the things I want to fit into this week while they're gone. And it's like making my brain just like not focused on what I'm doing right now. So I'm trying my best, but if I seem a little like all over the place, that's why. Anyways, we are moving on to Super Saver Metallic. Let's go ahead and get started on this one. But first, I need to go have some lunch. And then I think we will go Outside. You know, I can't say it because if I do, Lily will freak out. But it's a nice day and I want to go work in the sunshine. I was about to say, is that okay with you? Do you mind doing that? You don't really get much of a choice. Okay, I'm back inside. We didn't get to spend as much time outside as I wanted to because, first of all, they were doing construction like right over on the other side of the road and it was loud and it was kind of bothering Lily. And then second of all, the mosquitoes were biting like crazy. If you guys have a tip for how to like prevent mosquitoes for outdoor areas, please let me know because I hate bug spray. It smells so bad. It always gives me a headache and then half the time it doesn't work. I have tried like citronella candles, but for some reason, like where my backyard is, the candles just always blow out with the breeze. So I can't light candles. I was thinking about getting one of those torches. You guys let me know what works for you in mosquito prevention because they are killing me this summer. Right, Lily apparently wants to be in this part of the video, so I apologize if she's distracting, but yeah, she's here. So I did finish the Super Saver little guy there. And I will say that these two are very, very comparable in how they work up, like how they are to work with. Okay, she's going to lay down now. Good night, Lily. So these two are very, very comparable with how they work up, except for that this one, you can kind of see in a few spots. Yeah, like right there, the metallic part of the yarn really just like is starting to come apart a whole lot more, which, you know, is not great. I think it happened in kind of a couple of places here and there. Not too bad. I mean, it wasn't every single stitch or anything like that. So, but with both of these, I'm not sure if I really explained this well. Again, I'm kind of off my game today. I've got dog hair in my mouth. Ooh. Okay, so I'm not sure if I explained this very well, but with both of these, the metallic thread is essentially like woven throughout the yarn. So it's not like little bits of glitter or anything. It's just like a strand of metallic thread. Let's see if we can get that to focus. Yeah, can you see that? So it's just woven in to the thread. Both of these yarns are basically identical in that way. It's just that this one is silver, whereas the other one is more rainbow. And also, I will say the Super Saver one works up a bit bigger. Not a ton, but a little bit. In terms of how they feel also very similar. I would actually say that the Super Saver one is maybe a little bit less scratchy, which is surprising, but they both have that feeling to the metallic thread in there that you can just feel it. If you've ever felt a metallic thread, you know what I mean. It's just not the softest thing ever. It is a little bit scratchy. It's not terrible, but it's not exactly cuddly. I will say that. But both of them, like I said, they worked out pretty nice, pretty easily, but with a few snags here and there. This is our last yarn of the day, which I don't even think I said the name of it earlier. Guys, I am just off of my game today. I hope that this video is even like watchable for you guys, but this is the name of the brand. How do you say it? Just okay, it's like TroYarn, TroYarn, like Troy, like Troy, like the place, like I don't know. I think that's what they're going for. There's like a little horse here, so TroYarn, Troy. I don't know. I'm struggling here. How would you guys pronounce this? But anyways, this is the brand. And then the line is Velvet Star. So this is our last one of the day. I feel like it's kind of our wild card of the day. With the other 3 yarns, you kind of know what to expect, at least somewhat. With this one, I have no idea. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm so off my game. I forgot to mention that I use a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook with both of these guys. And then with the Bernat, I used a 5 millimeter crochet hook. And to be honest, I could have gone up a size for the Bernat, but it's just what I had on hand. In the Clover, I don't have the next size up in the Clover hook. So we went with a 5 millimeter. It worked just fine. And for the velvet yarn we're about to use, I'm going to use a 4 millimeter crochet hook. So there we go. I remembered to tell the size of the hooks, if you guys even care. I don't know. I'm so second guessing myself today that I'm like, I don't even know. Let's go make another star. I am so mad that this thing is so cute because this yarn was by far the worst chenille yarn I have ever used in my life. It was shedding everywhere. I'm sure I already showed you. There is fuzz everywhere. There is glitter everywhere. I'm not a happy camper right now. I told you I'm a certified glitter hater. Now, this is, of course, not as bad as something like a fine glitter. This will be easier to clean up, but still. I feel like I'm going to be picking up glitter sheds from my desk for like weeks. It's so bad. But look how stinking cute it is. Like, look at that sparkle. And it is really soft, like really, really soft. If it weren't for the fact that it sheds everywhere, like I'm getting angry. I'm actually so frustrated. I feel like the reviews on this were not that bad. I should go back and look. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't actually mean to order this yarn. I had put it in my cart and was going to come back and look at it. And then my husband bought it. He was like, oh, I bought that yarn in the cart, like trying to be helpful. And I was like, oh, thank you. But also I didn't actually want to buy it yet before I did some more research on it. But that's my fault. I should have just like bookmarked it instead of put it in my cart. But I can't remember if the reviews were really bad or not. But I don't think they were that bad. I feel like I looked through them and it was kind of like, some people are saying it sheds. Some people are like, it's like too expensive for what it is, that kind of thing. But nothing as bad as like the way that I would leave a review for this. I would give it 0 stars if I could. Listen, this is 1 star and I give this yarn 1 star. 1 out of however many stars, like the least amount of stars possible. This was terrible. I feel like this is not even usable. Look at this. It's still falling apart. If you pick at it at all, it comes apart. Like the fuzz comes apart. Let's see. Let's pick out some glitter here and see if it comes apart. Yep, the glitter comes apart. Like, this is unusable. You can't give this to a child. I wouldn't give this to an adult either, because like they're going to touch it for 2 seconds and it just is literally disintegrating. I am so disappointed. Like, I'm like literally getting heated, you guys. I feel like I want a refund. I'm not a like demanding a refund kind of a person, but like, this is awful. Do not buy this yarn. Do not do it. Even though this is so cute, like objectively, I feel like this is the cutest one. The worst yarn ever. Okay. Whew. It's like the injustice of it all. Like, I spent however much money on this, and it's like literally, this is like, it's trash. Like, this is unusable. Like, the things that you make from this are unusable. Okay, I'm going to go calm down, and then I am going to give you my final thoughts about our sparkly yarns today. What a journey we've been on. But before that, I want you to vote for which of the little plushies is your favorite. Okay, so it is the next day. I did film an outro yesterday, but I ranted for 25 minutes. So in order for you guys to not have to watch that, and in order for me to not have to edit that, we're just going to refilm it. So we are going to talk some pros and cons of each of the little plushies that we made. We'll start with the Bernat. The pros for this one for me are that it does not shed. I was so impressed with how little this shed, especially compared to some other Bernat blanket yarns that I've tried in the past, where the fuzz shed everywhere as you were trying to sew. This one did not do that. I'm not really sure if that's just the way that the Bernat baby sparkle is formulated. I'm not sure, but I had a great experience with this one, not shedding at all. Another pro for me is that the sparkles look really great once you work it up. I think he is so cute. And again, I'm hoping that the camera is going to pick up on it at least a little bit. I know it's not going to do it quite as much justice as it is in person, but it is so sparkly. It is so cute. I love the iridescent sparkles. I think that the sparkles actually look better in plush form than they do in the skein, which is awesome. Another pro for me with the Bernat yarn is that it's still really soft after you work it up. You do kind of feel the little, like as I'm touching this, I can feel the little sparkle spikes, for lack of a better term. You can feel the little sparkles sticking up, but they're not rough. They don't hurt your hand. They're still very soft, very cuddly. I'm definitely going to be making this one in a more cuddly, bigger, like huggable one, because I think this is the perfect yarn to do that with. Let's talk some cons about this. There is really just one, and that is that all Bernat blanket yarn kind of hurts my hand as I'm working on it. I was realizing yesterday that I'm maybe using too small of a hook, and if I went up a hook size, then that would maybe relieve some of my hand strain. I do not have a clover hook in like the next size up that I would need, so I probably just need to invest in that size hook and see if that helps some of my problems. But Bernat blanket is just on the stiffer side, so it is just going to be a little bit more of a strain on your hands than something nice and soft and pliable like a velvet yarn. But that does not deter me from using it. So will Bernat blanket yarn, Bernat blanket baby sparkle, will this yarn on me? Yes, it definitely will. And will I be repurchasing it? Yes, I think so. If I had the right project in mind where I really wanted a thick yarn that was nice and sparkly, that was still soft, I would not hesitate to buy this yarn again. Okay, now let's talk pros and cons for the Simply Soft Party yarn. The pros for me are that the sparkle is a rainbow sparkle. I love that. I wish that more yarns had like a solid color with a rainbow sparkle. I think that's so cute. I really wish I could find a chenille yarn that is a solid color. It doesn't have to be silver, any color. A solid color, but with a rainbow stripe throughout. I think that's so cute. So if you know of a yarn like that, please let me know. But I think that the coloring is so, so cute. Another pro with the Caron Simply Soft is that the way that this yarn is formulated, the thread is woven in with the rest of the yarn, the metallic thread. You're not gonna have glitter shedding all over the place like, you know, our last star of the day, which we will get to. So just because of the way that this type of yarn is put together, you're really not gonna have just little bits of glitter shed all over the place. So if that's something you're worried about, definitely don't worry about that with this yarn. Now we have to talk cons. Caron Simply Soft, unfortunately, does just split. The regular yarn splits and this party yarn splits. Now, it wasn't as bad as I thought that it was going to be. The metallic thread didn't come apart from the rest of the yarn as much as I expected it to, but it did still split a few times. I was having to go back and redo stitches, which is just always kind of frustrating. Another con is that it's definitely not soft once you work it up. You can feel that metallic thread against your hands as you touch the plush. So I really don't know what project this type of yarn would be for because of that reason. I wouldn't recommend it for clothes. It's not going to be a soft, cuddly plushie because you're going to have that feeling. But if you like the look of it, then I would say that it's worth it. So will Caron Simply Soft Ami? Definitely. Would I be repurchasing this? Well, I actually already did repurchase this because I totally forgot that I had this on my shelf already and ended up repurchasing it to review for this channel. So I guess technically, yeah, I would repurchase it. But honestly, for me, I would just have to have specific projects in mind. Like, I feel like these little stars are kind of perfect for it because I don't really expect someone to be cuddling this. I expect something small, a little plushie like this, to be more like something that you set on your desk as decoration instead of something that you're actually like cuddling with. So for that, I do think if I have the right project in mind, I would repurchase this particular variety because I just love that rainbow metallic thread. I think that just gives it such a nice touch. Okay, moving on to our red heart yarn. The pros for me with this yarn are that that metallic thread really does shine very beautifully. The end result looks nice and shiny. I wasn't sure if it would translate. It's maybe not quite as shiny as it is in the skein, but it's still pretty shiny. But unfortunately, I do have some cons. The first con is that this yarn splits, and when it splits, sometimes that metallic thread does split apart from the rest. I'm trying to find a place on here. I think I trimmed it all, but no, you can see right here. This yarn kind of splits apart that metallic thread, and you do just have to end up cutting it and hoping that it doesn't unravel. I haven't had it completely like where I pull it out and it's just like unraveling and falling apart necessarily, but it does just split apart from the rest of the yarn a little bit more than the Caron Simply Soft did for me. So that is a little bit unfortunate. Another con, just like the Caron Simply Soft, is that this is not a soft product in the end. I would say actually feeling the two of them, that the Red Heart is actually a little bit softer, surprisingly, but you can still feel the metallic threads in the end product. So if that's something that's going to bother you, you're definitely going to be able to feel that. Will this yarn Ami? It will, but will I be repurchasing it? Probably not. I think that of the two of them, I would definitely repurchase the Caron Simply Soft over the Red Heart, just because this one splits a little bit less, and I, of course, love that rainbow stripe. Oh boy, we've gotten to our last star of the day, which was definitely the most frustrating one of the day, and unfortunately, also the cutest. I do think this one looks absolutely adorable. So, pros and cons. The pros are that it looks adorable. I mean, objectively, this looks so cute. And another pro is that it feels really soft. You cannot feel the metallic threads in the end product. However, the cons are basically everything else. This yarn sheds as you crochet with it. It sheds while you're sewing with it. And the worst part is that the end product still sheds. Can you see this falling apart? Like if you just touch it a little bit, like stuff, I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but yeah, like look, it's falling apart. It's literally disintegrating. And For me, I can sometimes tolerate a yarn that sheds or falls apart. I tolerate Premier de Chenille, which does shed quite a bit and it does fall apart, but not while you're using it. I will say that. The Premier yarn does not fall apart as you're crocheting it. It really just, as you're sewing it, that thread kind of loses all of its fur. Fur, is that what you want to call it? So I tolerate it because it's inexpensive, it comes in good colors, and the end product doesn't shed. Once the product is made, it doesn't continue to shed. However, with this one, the end product is shedding. I would never give this to a kid. I would never give this to even an adult because they're going to get it home and they're maybe just going to like try to hold it and touch it. And there's going to be like glitter and fuzz and everything coming off of it. And I would be embarrassed to give this to somebody. I did go on Amazon and go ahead and look through the reviews. So the overall review was 4.5, I believe. But if you scroll through the reviews, you'll see some other people saying stuff like this falls apart, this got glitter all over the place. And the problem is a lot of people write reviews before they've actually worked with the yarn. They'll write a review just based on how it feels in the skein, and how it feels in the skein is very soft. How it looks in the skein is very sparkly, but once you work with it, that's the real test. So I wish that a lot of people wouldn't write reviews until after they've worked with it a bit, because then I feel like the overall rating would be a lot lower. But I really should have looked through the reviews a little bit more. I should have realized that this was not the highest quality yarn ever. But unfortunately, we all make these mistakes sometimes. So I'm hoping to prevent you guys from making this mistake. This kind of thing really frustrates me because I paid $9 for this yarn. And I really hope to make some products to sell at my upcoming market. I was really excited about that. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the rest of my skein because it's basically unusable. And that's just like throwing your money in the trash, especially in these times with the economy the way that it is. I really don't want to be spending my money on things that are not worth it. So most of the time, I am very like diplomatic when it comes to my yarn reviews. I'm like, well, this wasn't really for me. I didn't really like it, but I could still see how someone else might like it. Like, here are the pros and here are the cons. Decide for yourself. But this time, I'm just going to say it. Don't buy this yarn. Unless you really want to be frustrated as you're crocheting with something and have an end product that falls apart. Now listen, if you really want it to be super, super cute like this, and you're never ever going to touch it, and you don't mind it shedding as you're working with it, then like, okay, buy the yarn. But I do not recommend it at all. So will it Ami? I think for the first time, I'm going to say, will it Ami? No. No, because this yarn falls apart. You're not going to be able to give this to somebody because, like I said, the second that they touch it, they're going to have fuzz and glitter all over them. Not worth it. And so will I be repurchasing this yarn? I think you already know. The answer is absolutely not. Probably now covered in fuzz after just touching that plushie. It's so unfortunate. But anyways, you'll have to let me know how you felt about today's video. Do you have a favorite sparkly yarn? Be sure to let me know. I feel like in the end, I did like the Bernat blanket the most out of these four, but my favorite sparkly yarn is still the Juicy Couture Luxe Velour Sparkle. I just think that one is the easiest to use, although the end product is not as sparkly. I wish that the Juicy Couture yarn made a yarn that was this sparkly, like this level of sparkles, while still being the good quality that the Juicy Couture yarn is. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button. You can subscribe, stick around, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see next. You can follow me on Instagram. It's The Faded Wildflower. You can also check out my Etsy shop. I sell patterns as well as custom plushies. And again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.